Welcome, everybody, back to Bit About Crypto, the podcast. I'm David James, your host, and you can also know me as the Job Whisperer. And once again, I'm back here with my co-host, Dave Hampton, Robo Recruiter. How are you?
Doing very well.
Yeah?
Doing very well.
Having a good week?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Better than I deserve.
Yeah, I'm overpaid, for sure. I'm overpaid when I take an inventory of the quality of my problems. I'm pretty fortunate. So, hey, everybody, welcome to another week of Bit About Crypto. So it must be 2 o'clock Pacific or 5 o'clock Eastern on a Sunday, if you're tuning in right now.
Happy hour.
On a Sunday?
Yeah.
It's football season. They're getting ready for the late game.
Even more reason for happy hour.
Yeah, so the Bit About Crypto podcast was the genesis of David and myself, and we're both recruiters. And our company is Blockchain Recruiters, and what we do is we aggregate professionals in the blockchain, crypto, NFT space. All over the world, we aggregate them and we put them on our database. So if you have an NFT or a blockchain project, if you need people, think Toys R Us just with crypto people. All right, we've got it all. And if you're somebody that's got a passion for crypto and doesn't know how to actually get involved, or knows they have some talents that can be repurposed, or just has a general enthusiasm and wants to be in the crypto space, you can contact me at the BTC Recruiter on Twitter. And if you want to send an email, old school, you can contact my partner. You can contact him, Dave, at blockchainrecruiters.net. Remember, it's .net, blockchainrecruiters.net. If you don't put the net, you won't be caught in our net. So anyhow, yeah, the podcast is a human interest story that talks about individuals from all different walks of life, all of them interesting, and then how crypto found them. And this is a good way to learn about crypto, learn about blockchain, learn about entities, learn about the space without being embarrassed about not knowing. It's funny because a lot of people, they've got a wrong perception of crypto, and when they are actually trying to figure it out, David, it seems like no one wants to look foolish for not knowing, and blockchain's a hard thing to learn about quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I just go back to the old adage of Rome wasn't built in a day, so just manage your expectations.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you can only learn so much at a time.
Yeah, okay. I think you didn't help. You didn't help.
I mean, then again, people aren't I, so you
didn't help.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing about it is, so
I was trying to help there, but
are you done?
Are you done?
I want to be done.
Good.
With you. So what happened was I learned about Bitcoin in 2013, as everybody knows, and that was the only thing that anyone was talking about in 2013, 2015. In 2017, there was this dollar thing called Ethereum. Dollar. Ethereum was $1 in 2017. And then actually, then the last couple of years, people were talking about smart contracts. And when I was thinking smart contracts, if this, then that. Right? That's smart contracts, like a vending machine. If someone puts in coins, then the vending machine will give the candy. If this, then that. And I was thinking that, it's really good for betting. It's really good for insurance company. If he dies, then this pays, right? If they pay, then this deed of sale of title of land to the house goes there. But then all of a sudden, everyone was talking about this NFT thing. And NFTs, in the last 18 months, people have been talking about NFTs in such a way. And I'm fascinated on the way this is changing consciousness, right? On so many, and basically NFTs are a way to purpose them an intention. Really, if I say NFT, what do you say? You say art, right? Everybody's coming up with art. Yeah. Mostly, right? Yeah. I mean,
tickets, trading cards.
Yeah, a lot of things that we're learning. Right. Well, our next guest actually has found some type of empowerment, like a pandemic-oriented game. And honestly, I was told by Zach, our speaker seeker, right, who actually said, "Look, you have to have this guy on the podcast." And when he says it, I just want to go on faith. And I intentionally didn't do a lot of research on this guy because I just know he's going to be great. So, with no further ado, Hahz Terry, welcome to Bit About Crypto. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
How you guys doing today?
We're doing really well. So, and you are currently beta testing your project where?
In Cabo San Lucas, Mexico.
Poor guy. How do you do it?
Pobrecito.
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 Yeah. How are you just dealing with the perfect weather and the sunsets every day. I mean, are you okay?
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard living out here for this task. I would say doing what you love. That's what we're all about. So, I mean, this is the perfect climate, place, location to implement doing what you love for a living.
It's funny that you say that. You know, by the time this show runs, but what happens? We had a guest on this show, right? His name is Andrew Birnbaum, and he's the chief operating officer for something called Pedro's List. Think Angie's List, right? But down in Mexico, and where they're beta testing that is in Cabo. Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, because you don't just get to Google somebody in Cabo and it's like, oh, there's 20 guys, with their name on the truck to come and work at the house. So they're trying to repurpose a native coin for that exact thing. So when you just said to me, hey, it's kind of difficult, are you and your family really experiencing some difficulty, like culturally, like getting around? Or were you?
No, not at all.
You were kidding.
He was being facetious.
Yeah, I was just joking.
The irony was lost on you, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've been friends 4 minutes. Give me a break.
I caught that one he was putting down. I mean,
well, you're a better judge of people than me.
A little slow on the uptick.
Yeah. Anyhow, so how long have you been down there?
It's been 6 months now.
Wow, that's kind of a blessing. It's kind of a blessing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And
the reception down here was just overwhelming as far as trying out something new. Essentially pitching it as removing the middleman and doing your day-to-day products and services just resonated with people without even understanding what crypto was. I mean, from Uber drivers to delivery drivers, just different facets and walks of life, they all understand that operating with no middleman, you know what I mean, and being taxed for their business and services, they're tired of it.
Yeah, well, that's a good foreshadow. I'm excited about what you're talking about. But first, let's talk about you, right? So let's talk about years like when you were born to like high school. Where'd you grow up, and tell me about your family.
Yeah, so grew up in Jersey, South Jersey, born in North Jersey, moved to South Jersey for a better living. My mom wanted to get me out of the city and get me in a more plush living environment per se.
Better role models. What did you better role models than that?
Better environment.
Right. Yeah.
Are you an Eagles fan or a Jets fan?
Yeah. Pick
Eagles.
Yeah. See.
Eagles. My two brothers are Giants fans. I'm an Eagles fan.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, this year and last year, you get to like puff your chest out of both of them for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, but
it's been a ride.
So, okay, so you were born in New Jersey and going like to grade school and high school. What did you do? Was it academics? Was it sports?
Sports.
Okay, talk about it.
Basketball player, football player, quarterback. I did track. So I did pretty much everything. I was pretty active, in the school.
Were you the starting quarterback of your high school?
Yeah, I was starting. Football wasn't really my forte. It was basketball. I was the
point guard
star in basketball. Football was just something I did because all my friends were in football, and it was just a challenge to try something new.
So you were trying something new, and you found it necessary to become the starting quarterback?
Yeah, I had an arm, so that was my my gift.
Yeah.
So I threw javelin, I was a quarterback.
I bet you'd start golfing 6 weeks and you'd already beat me. I mean, you're just that guy. I bet.
Like J.R. Smith. You know who J.R. Smith is?
Yeah.
NBA player.
Yeah.
He turned. He's going to school at NC State or NC State A&M, right? And he's on the golf team.
Yeah, on the golf team. It's like, well, so how hard can it be, right? Just hit it that way, right?
Yeah.
So another challenge.
Yeah. Do you golf?
Not. I'm picking it up. Picking it up slowly.
Are you playing down there?
Especially out here. Yeah, especially out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The golf capital seems like.
Yeah, Cabo del Sol, right? That's my favorite course.
It's like a country club every 10 miles.
It's so ridiculous. Okay, so it's interesting. So you're this very gifted athlete as far as an 18-year-old, right? And then when you're 18, getting out of high school, right, or I'd like to say the compulsory education, right? You got to go, right?
Yeah.
Where's your head? Where's your life? And what do you think you're going to be doing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's a funny story. I got approved and ended up going to Gremlin State University.
Gremlin. Basketball?
Yeah, and no sports. I just wanted to feel it out. But I went down there without even feeling it out, like going to feel how Louisiana is and get a taste of it coming from the East Coast. I just jumped on a plane and just, took the challenge.
It's different. Different, slower.
It was a culture shock.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're 18. Do we enroll? Do we go to Gremlin? Does that happen?
Yeah. I went for a year and felt it out, and it was like this college, I would say, program wasn't for me. I saw through the classes, the being forced to take classes that didn't pertain to your degree, the whole fluff of scholarships. And, it was just like, this is some bullshit. That's how I felt after 1 year. I was like, there's got to be a better way. This can't be, the path or life per se. And to be forced to enter a program and take classes that you don't even, you're narrowed down to the options that they give you, what you're going to learn. It just didn't resonate with me.
So what'd you do? So you're 19, freshman year done. Now what?
I shifted and I went to degree. I took a class in DeVry because I saw at the time, this was roughly 2000, that computers were the future.
There you go.
We didn't really get into computers, I'm sorry, my freshman year in Gremlin, but I just had that insight that if we're going to look at education in 5 years or a job market in 5 years, where will it be in 5 years? And I just knew that it was computers because I saw how they were being evolving with telecommunications specifically. So I took a degree class at DeVry for telecommunications. And that's where I learned computers and got more into the program without the fluff and the classes that you didn't need to take. So I just saw that if you can expedite, taking these classes out and get an associate's in 2 years and, kind of learn more that pertains to your degree, that's the solution.
Well,
really learn it.
The way it's tracking for me is you went to school for an education as opposed to just a degree. And that's a funny thing because from my generation, right? Because, I'm older than you. I mean, 57 years old, right? You go to school, you get a degree that's going to get you a job somewhere. And being recruiters, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that got a degree because their parents forced them, right? Because all their brothers and sisters were doing it. Their dad's got a degree. And they hate the job and they hate their life, right? So I'm speaking to my
resentment.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I preach, I'll talk to anybody, just kind of like you give your zero money cost consulting on how to start your own NFT, right? And, because you've got something that you love and you want to share, right? What I'm naturally gifted as is helping people get jobs, right? And what I say to I go into any environment and I'll coach you. And here's what I want to do. I want to help you stay in love with yourself and stay in love with your job. And what's going to happen is if you're not making your choices correctly, right, you're going to fall out of love in one of those things. And ultimately, you're going to fall out of love with yourself, right? And so what happens, you saw it clearly. It's like, man, I'm in debt. Like today, I'm just talking the last 8-9 years, right? And so, the good news, what Obama did is he really made that you could get a loan and grants for anybody to go to school, right? But what and you never know what lies ahead. What wasn't thought about is you've got these kids that are $100,000 in debt, and they qualify for the exact same job at the Starbucks, right? That the person who didn't go to college does. I mean, there they are. The only difference is the guy or gal that didn't go to college is 5 years ahead. They're the supervisor, right? They're making the schedule, and they don't have $100,000 in debt. So, I mean, that's a real thing. You got these people with these degrees, and they can't get paid. Right. Yeah, but what you did, go on.
I did the opposite. I tried to, kind of jump ahead and see where the future was going towards, just as far as computers and integrating into our everyday lives. I kind of saw that before I really knew about computers. And the ride was just like, hey, we're going to teach you about computers. We're not going to teach you how to play tennis and all these classes that you don't need to take.
It's like
so I like that, So from there, once I graduated, I got into the market and saw the bullshit face to face. As far as what you just described is that, you're told something throughout school about how your career, how this is going to give you leverage and this is an investment to your future, just to find out that you're starting from the bottom with a degree. It's all about who you know what I mean? And, you're told that you're going to make this salary when you get out of college, and that's not the case. And nobody's held accountable for these lies that they're selling you, essentially, just in comparison to a business. I mean, if you can imagine, a business selling you on a $200,000 loan, or any type of large investment of that stature, that you're told that it's going to be one way, and then you sign these paperwork, and then you get it into the investment that you made, and you're like, nah, this is not what I was sold. This is some bullshit. Like I just, it's all a game, and it's not a game where any regulations can hold anybody accountable. To selling people to this day to jobs that they're not going to be around in 5 years. There's kids right now, freshmen in college, that are taking classes for careers that are going to be phased out with AI robots.
Well, hold on a second.
At what point?
No, let's talk about that, because obviously you've got your eye on this, and this is this is an important thing. So talk about because the thing about this podcast is to talk about how crypto and blockchain is changing the job market. And so when you're speaking on something like this, I got to stop you, and I please preach, and let's hear your voice on this topic, on exactly that, please.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to this day, it's just, just taking it back a little bit. The motto of our company is purpose over profit. And, segueing into the topic that we're talking about, when we saw that during the pandemic, people couldn't suspend that whole mind state of, okay, let's put profit aside for a moment and get back to helping people in need. That's when I saw everything for really what it was, is that everybody's so consumed with profit, they're not concerned with truth. You know what I mean? So that segues into the schooling system. We know Obama talked about it, Bill Gates talked about it, that 60% of the workforce is going to be replaced by AI robots. So at what point do we, as a school system or college, say to these kids, this is the future, this is what you need to be investing in? If we're truly concerned about their future, then they need to know the honesty about where this job market is going and what would be left. Coding jobs will be around because these AI robots have to be coded, but you don't need a degree to get a coding job anymore.
Right.
So at what point do we keep it 100 with everybody and say, hey, this is the future, and this is how we can work together and ensure that we're going to have jobs in the future, but that requires putting profit aside.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying that requires us to put profit aside and get back to purpose.
Yeah, my enthusiasm got the best of me to interrupt you, but are there any specific jobs that you see people, young freshmen, men and women, are getting, educated in, and they're going to get out there and the job's going to be AI'd away? Any specifics?
That's a good question. There's a lot of jobs that are going to be replaced, and we're seeing it happen already in fast food restaurants. We're seeing it happen in certain industries, but it's not still being implemented in a way where we have concern for people losing their jobs. The amount of jobs that we saw lost during the pandemic should have been a red flag, as to say, hey, we need to start getting in front of this problem so we can ensure that people are working and are able to, hold down their families with some form of income. And I just think overall, the crypto community hasn't stepped up to say, hey, we have a solution. We can teach you a way to monetize your, everyday you live in scenario with NFTs or crypto, teaching you how to onboard the blockchain to sustain your lifestyle during this pandemic. I just think I was disappointed that nobody stepped up and really pushed this forward, this solution forward.
So I'm going to say something to you. So in 2018, I think it was October. It was about 3 years ago. David and I, we went to a trade show in Louisiana, New Orleans, right? And you went down to Louisiana, right? And if you know about New Orleans, the hotels are they're old, they're not that modern, right? And so I think I was on the 5th floor, 4th floor. It wasn't that high as far as hotels go. And I called down and I said, I didn't bring my shaving kit. Can you send me up a razor and some cream? They said, no problem. And I don't think about it. And I get a text on my phone and I said, yeah, the servant, the butler, the something is at your door. I used word, and I didn't think much of it. I opened my door and there's a robot. There's a robot literally there, right? That on the top, it's got the razor and some candy, and it's like R2-D2, like it goes down the hall away. And I said to myself, uh-oh. Because that's somebody's job, right? I mean, I literally called, because that's my first time it happened. I called, I said, does it push the button itself? She goes, yep. And it gets out and knows what room to go? Yep. And then it can't knock, but it texts. So, yeah, that's what we're going to, I'm enjoying talking to you so much. I'm just going to come to this part of the show. I'm going to say this to you. How did crypto find you?
It found me and my wife during the pandemic after examining these reports that were coming out during the pandemic.
Like what report specifically?
One report was the Black Lives Matter movement.
Okay.
Paying attention to how that was taking place, and how all this money was being donated to this movement. But I wasn't seeing any recipients talking about how they're receiving the benefits of them being the sole core of the movement. Everybody who participated in the movement couldn't access the money that was donated to the movement. That baffled me. And I'm always, the type of guy that's trying to figure things out. And, discussing this with my wife and trying to get to, some type of research, we couldn't find anything that equated to, okay, this money's going here, this money's being donated to this. And in the same year that $5 billion was donated to Black Lives Matter, me and my wife were reading articles about 70% of Black-owned businesses have closed since the start of the pandemic due to a lack of capital. And it's like something's not adding up that $5 billion was donated to a movement. And this money is not being used to provide pandemic relief for African Americans at the time. Were being denied the first round of PPP loans. So, there was just a lot of question that it was so much question. And another article that really kind of brought it home was the crypto community. The amount of money that was generated during the pandemic, crypto was surging. So seeing all these things kind of happen in real time, article-wise, I'm trying to figure out, one, why isn't crypto being used to provide these small businesses capital to sustain the pandemic? And then, with the African Americans being hit hardest with the pandemic, and then the Black Lives Matter. So I put, me and my wife put both of our six-figure businesses aside to create a blockchain pandemic solution with our blockchain nonprofit. Because we felt like enough wasn't being done, So that's when I jumped down the crypto rabbit hole and brought my wife with me without her knowing that it would be this long to create a solution that would take this long.
I'm sorry. I know. I just want to frame a narrative here, right?
Yeah.
So what I heard you say is that you care about the Black community, and you saw that basically there was money being donated through all these movements that had arisen, right? But it wasn't getting to the recipient, and so let me just show you something that I saw, right? So during 9/11. Right, when 9/11 happened, I mean, in my entire lifetime, I hadn't been so moved like to do something. The United Way got like I don't know, $100 billion. That's probably not that much, but it was in the billions of dollars, like in a very, very short period. Billions of dollars. Bob Dole, senator from Kansas, ran against Bill Clinton in 1996 as the Republican candidate. His wife, Elizabeth Dole, was the president and CEO of the United Way. The United Way, all right? And the United Way received all these untold billions of dollars, and like overnight, billions people are donating. And only 9% of the billions got to the recipients. The other 91% was used for administrative costs. It's like, and so what that told me is right there, no matter how good the intentions are, power corrupts. Absolutely. Right? And even with the organic movement like yours, as good as the cause is, as righteous as the cause is, the thing about greed and all these kinds, I think that's what you're saying is that there was money coming in, but the funnel wasn't working to the people that really needed it.
Right.
Are my two analogies the same? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's very accurate.
Okay. So, all right. So let's hear about the doings. Talk about burning your boat. Right? I mean, hey, honey, I got a job, and I got a job for you too. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting year, I'd say now. Initially thinking that, and just give you a brief background. So, I've prior to that had 20 years of success of growing businesses with digital marketing campaigns, and worked with all the Fortune 100 companies, had multiple small businesses of my own. I've grown a bunch of small businesses, large businesses with digital marketing. So I've always been kind of keen to this issue with how the Web 2.0 space was pushing out small businesses. So, I had some insight, and I've been watching how small businesses, particularly with PPC, pay-per-click, have been pushed out of the game of Web 2.0 when it comes to Google real estate. Let's call it Google real estate. The larger companies have been buying out all of the property and monopolizing business with pay-per-click. So, prior to going down the crypto rabbit hole to find a solution, I had my eye on this issue, and I've tried to work with small businesses in the past when it comes to a marketing agency I had. So I've always been trying to figure out why no value was ever saw into with investing back into your business from a digital marketing standpoint. Nobody that I couldn't find a formula that worked universally for all small businesses. As to say, if I pitched to them the value in PPC like this, they will bite. You know what I mean? I couldn't, and this, I've been trying to figure this out for 10 years. What's going to work? I've removed my cost from the beginning, pushed out 30 days, try to split PPC campaigns with small businesses. I've tried multiple scenarios as to see, is it the money that they don't see? Is it the money that's preventing them from seeing value in running an ad campaign? Or, I just tried every formula. So when I saw what was happening with small businesses during the pandemic and the Sears closing down, the JCPenney's, the bankruptcies being filed, it was like a light bulb as to say, nobody's telling the public that it had nothing to do with the pandemic. The pandemic sat us all down, which forced your e-commerce or digital platform to run your business for you. No longer could you rely on people coming into your brick and mortar store. It was about how successful is your website, how prominent is your digital marketing to kind of continue to work for you while you're sitting at home. So that was the real reason why the majority of these small businesses closed down because they never were prepared from a digital marketing or from a website presence, SEO, all the elements that's needed for your business to come up when people search for your services or products. A lot of things weren't in place. So when the pandemic happened, it was just like a Titanic, analogy of we saw businesses go under from large to small because they didn't have a web presence. So, it was kind of important for me to bring that to light before I went into the solution, because when I initially went down the crypto rabbit hole, I just, I joked around with my wife and I was like, give me 2 months, I'm going to find a solution with this blockchain, kind of diverting all my energy into creating a solution. So I just thought, okay, cool, I'm going to create an ERC20 token. I'm going to, I had a whole white paper about staking donations.
You wrote a white paper? You wrote a white paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I and the backstory too, I taught myself blockchain code to create the solution.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
Because as Mark Twain would say, I never let my schooling get away with my education.
That's right.
Because I couldn't wait for a donation, and I couldn't wait for an investor to come and, to kind of believe in what my vision was and what the solution was, to invest in it or to donate to it. And so I was joking with my wife and I was like, 2 months and we're going to have a solution, created a token, white paper about staking donations and paying, creating a UBI as far as the interest on the stake donations, and reached out to the Black Lives Matter movement 4 times, reached out to every single nonprofit that so-called received the donation during the Black Lives Matter movement, as far as from my nonprofit to tell them that we have a solution to get this currency or these donations to the recipients of your movement. No replies to this date. No replies.
Wow.
And that's when I started to see, okay, this is going to be, this is getting deeper. And then I went further down the crypto rabbit hole, and picked the brains of the brightest minds. One of our advisors is Michael Baldwin, the founders of the peer-to-peer technology. I reached out to people like him, got him on a call, and really told him what my solution was or what I was trying to obtain, and what's the best route to go about it. So he's the OG when it comes to crypto, and seeing through the bullshit. So partnerships with advisors like that helped me navigate towards finding a solution.
Did you ever speak to or attempt to get a hold of Lamar Wilson from the Black?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he's. Do you know who he is?
No.
Yeah,
familiar.
the Black billionaire boys, the Black Bitcoin Billionaires Club. All right.
Oh, yeah.
You have heard of that?
I reached out to them.
Yeah, well, don't feel bad. I asked him to be on my podcast, and he's like, he's got no time for a pleb like me. So we just can't take it personally. I think sometimes if you got a response, you maybe would have not gone down the way you did, right? Necessity is the mother of all invention. So I can't believe how the time has just flown, and I haven't even got to the part of the show where you talk. So you've got this solution. So encapsulate for us what it was that happened where you said to your wife, said, "Hey, goodbye to that job, goodbye to my job. We're going to Mexico." I mean, I'm dying to hear how this happened.
Oh yeah. So that took place when I had to pivot from the initial coin, and at this time, this was roughly 7 months ago. Tokens weren't as commercially, mass appeal before the Dogecoin and the meme coins came out and really kind of onboarded a lot of people into the community. So that forced me to pivot into creating an NFT marketplace, because I saw that was being an easier onboarding process for people unfamiliar with crypto. jumping around from blockchain to blockchains during the gas wars. Went from Ethereum to Polkadot to Solana, which is our current project is on, because of the NFT capabilities.
Wait, so your project's on Solana?
Yeah, it's on Solana.
Are you concerned what happened a few, in this case, months ago, about how?
No.
Let me just tell you, because I went to school where the actual network was shut down because it was overcapacitated, right?
Yeah.
Can you speak on that? Can you speak on what happened and why you're not concerned?
Because it's just the growing the growth pains that are associated with when a blockchain grows as fast as Solana has. And that's just purely because people like myself have been navigating through various blockchains, looking for the perfected one. And, the growing pains of like with Bitcoin had that Ethereum solved, and, we can just go on and on and on.
Right.
As far as you see what the problems that they have, you implement that code and you add on to it with a modified version of fixing their solutions and, others. That's what Solana did. They took elements, even with my time with working with Polkadot. We were going to launch the first NFT marketplace on Polkadot. We were, it was kind of, we haven't generated any PR about it because there was levels of issues that needed to be addressed prior to that. And then we just, after 4 months, I had to onboard the Solana and jump ship from Polkadot and Kasama because the NFT issues weren't being fixed fast enough. And Solana came, from January to now and just really took over the game in such a short period of time.
So your NFT platform is on Solana, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you chose Solana as opposed to Cardano, as opposed to Ethereum, right? So
because of the NFT capabilities that they have, specifically when it comes to tiered auctions, royalty payments. They really have the smart contract capabilities that a lot of NFT blockchains in general don't have. And they're green, so it's just a win-win-win. Yeah,
well, so everybody was touting Solana. I don't listen to, hey, Dogecoin touting that, right? So go ahead and tout it, right? But there's no use case there. So I listen for the use case, right, will beget the value, right? Not the other way around, right? Because, look, we're not going to be talking about Solana and Doge in X number of years or whatever. Famous last words, maybe, right? It'll pass Bitcoin, but whatever. But what I'm saying is it's a Kellogg's Pop-Tart, right? It's going to sit there until someone eats it. That's what those coins are. But when I heard that the entire blockchain went down for like 20 hours, right? That bothered me a great deal. But you're not bothered at all. So it's for our audience, because our guest has spoken about a lot of things. Hahz Terry, you really have been so just poignant on the things that you're talking about. He's talking about Polkadot. He's talking about Solana. He's talking about ERC20 tokens, right? Which is on a reverse of the Ethereum platform. And I know to our listeners, this is kind of technical, but this is how you actually get yourself learned in blockchain and NFTs. You just learn, see what people are saying, and then you start asking more questions. So the purpose of this podcast is so you, the listener, can have a better inquiry within yourself about what's going on. But back to you specifically, Hahz, I want you to say why you're not afraid that the Solana blockchain will actually collapse or crash again, or I don't want to add exaggeration to it, but it shut down, and that concerned me a great deal.
Because I teach blockchain, or I explain blockchain from a higher state of consciousness.
Okay.
I heard one of your shows about this topic, and it's almost being explained too techie on purpose to people from being interested in it. And I learned this from working with coding companies with my digital marketing agency. I was the guy who took the code language and just tell me what you're trying to say, and I'm gonna make it sound cool. in an ad form or in a website layout. I was that guy. I never needed to learn code. And then I knew it was a whole different language because I heard the way people in the office talked about it. And I was like, I don't know what the hell they're saying. I never heard anything in relation to these words outside of this office. It was like being in a whole nother world. So I learned what the issue was with the blockchain industry is that the digital marketing sucks. There's no other way to explain it. They fail when it comes to digital marketing. And I looked at these projects that are so-called successful, and I looked at the digital marketing teams and analyzed just the whole game, is that from an investor standpoint, an investor is always concerned about how is this going to reach the masses? How is this going to reach this intended audience? And from an investor standpoint, blockchain has failed because if
that's right.
19% of the world is utilizing technology.
That's right.
Middleman.
That's right.
That means that there's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's where we come in to explain it in a way that relates to everybody. So with our game, specifically our pandemic relief game, we flipped e-commerce and explained NFTs as d-commerce, which is just digital assets, and removing the middleman. The things, the issues that e-commerce has that nobody's fixing is fixed with d-commerce. It's as simple as that. And it's just digital assets. You don't need the physical assets. You don't need to ship products. You don't need a website to host. You don't need to pay Shopify $60 a month to put your content on their platform so they can steal your analytics and replace your products with their own.
Yeah.
Which is all these e-commerce platforms are doing. You don't have to do that. You can just barter NFTs amongst our Love Tribe, and that's the game. That's how we all win. For our everyday products and services, we just replaced everything with NFTs. So, in relation to an Uber driver, you can just find somebody within our tribe that will drive you and you can pay them, with no middleman, so we have to remove this layer of fear that the middleman has created for the way that we do business. We can't be this advanced as humanity and have this fear of working directly with each other.
I want to talk about this. So just so you know, do you know who Jimmy Song is?
No.
Okay, so Jimmy Song was one of the authors. He wrote the Little Bitcoin book. He and 5 other people wrote.
Okay.
The Little Bitcoin book. So he's one of he's hard to miss. So he's 6 feet tall. He's Korean. He lives in Odessa, Texas, and he wears a cowboy hat. And he's an engineer and he's a devout Christian. All right. He also wrote a book he and Robert Breedlove wrote a book called Thank God for Bitcoin. Right, talking about how Bitcoin is God's money. Right, versus the corruption of the fiat, where it's just like, we can just print more money to finance our wars and kill people. And I don't even have to go to you about disenfranchisement with bad money. But what he talks about, he had this talk at BitBlock Boom in 2020, and he's talking about rent seeking. And he was talking, really what you're talking about is rent seeking with an exploitation, right? But when you think about, you go to the bank, right? And they say, I'd like to send a wire. I'd like to send my money, right? I'd like to send $100 via wire from my account to Hahz Terry's account. I want to wire it, right? And they said, okay, that'll be $25. Well, what? He's got an account, you've got an account. Why? Well, that's our wire fee. Right. And then we've got these.
So pause on that right there. Let me interject. It's interesting that you said that. One of the most disturbing things that I learned is that the banking system owns the most patents for blockchain technology, meaning that they took open source code and they patented it to prevent it from the public knowing about it to prolong their existence as the middle.
That's correct. Correct.
That was disturbing.
Well, yeah.
But the whole time they're using blockchain technology. Just not telling us that. So that segues into what you're saying.
Called being hypocrites.
But when you're talking about middlemen, I mean, literally everybody thought Uber was a great idea, right?
Yeah.
Except taxi cab drivers, right? Everybody thought that Amazon was just this awesome thing, except retail stores, right? I mean, I'm not going to get on either side of it, right? But what we're talking about is disruptive technology. You want to know who hates blockchain? You want to know who hates Bitcoin? Every financial advisor I've ever spoken to or that I will ever speak to. They hate it. It's a scam. It's a fraud because it terrifies them because it disrupts the perpetual lie of what they've been telling people for the longest time.
It's all a lie, and it wasn't until I created a smart contract myself and I minted tokens and I created money from a place of a blockchain that I realized this whole system is utilizing blockchain technology like Cash App specifically, which became a $44 billion empire because they marketed to people of color. And another disturbing fact that I noticed in the game, going down a rabbit hole, was nobody's promoting this solution to people of color. And then when I realized it was because the middleman has been taxing people of color, they don't want people of color to know how to remove them from being the middleman. So it just all came to me. It all made sense as to why a lot of this technology is being promoted in a way of reading a Wall Street Journal, which we know that's geared towards a college degree. And so, we're seeing the same formulas and the same game taking place in crypto that has taken place on Web 2.0, because the solution to all that, which is on the frequency of fear, control, and greed. I explained Web 2.0 was created from a place of fear, control, and greed. And that's what it did. It divided us as humanity. And blockchain was created from a place of love, of helping others. And the blockchain industry has been consumed with greed, that they lost focus of why this technology was created. So, I explained, everything has to come from a place of love. And that's our blockchain nonprofit. It's called BLK LUV. All of our projects have the word love in it, because until we as humanity get back to a place of love, we won't be concerned with money, because, currency is a frequency of energy. Tesla understands this better than anybody. That's why he's able to manipulate a currency's value, because he understands that this is all energy. This is all frequency of energy. And that's how I explain to the masses that this technology is just all consciousness. It's all a state of consciousness. Yeah. That there's no more ceiling to, what you're worth or how much you can make from something. We have been told, and that program has been downloaded to us per se in a way where we think that if we work at this job, we only can make this amount of money. This puts a ceiling on our worth and our consciousness of what we can create, because we're being told you can't create more than that. You can't make more than that. So, that's what blockchain is. It's just a higher state of consciousness with no ceiling. Yeah, but
no limit. Yeah, but I just want to pile on here. We're going to tag team, so pound me out. Yeah. Right. I'm gonna jump in the ring now. Not only that, but I agree with everything you're talking about. But not only that, but you're being paid in a currency. It's like, oh, you need more Kool-Aid? Well, let's just add water. Right. Next thing you know, it's got no color, it's got no taste. That's what's happening to this money that you're talking about, and that begets the fear. Right. And the fear that everybody's having right now in our current state, with the price of meat and the price of gas, and the price of milk, and the price of everything. It's the currency that's being diluted, and you're paid the same amount, but you have to give more of it. And this is beginning fair.
It's the collective consciousness.
Right.
Is that it, as holders, it's not the crypto or the NFT that creates the value. It's the holders that energetically we're linked together.
Right. But
with peer-to-peer technology. But we all. What were you saying?
No, I'm sorry. I'm so enthusiastic. I hate cutting you off, and I'm gonna definitely bring you back, okay? Because you're a knowledge dropper, okay? You can tell your wife I said so, okay? Knowledge dropper. But in all seriousness, the thing that's so reverse about this whole crypto thing, right? I'll pay you in crypto, right? But that crypto is going to increase and appreciate asymmetrically in value, right? So you're with unity.
Yeah,
that's correct.
And it won't go down.
Yeah.
The whole idea is that you're not working more for less over time. That's really what it is. It's like each time. I mean, 20 years ago, I can make, $100 was worth $100, right? Now $100 is worth $75 or whatever. But you put in the same amount of time, you're working more time for less money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's what people have to understand. And that's why as a nonprofit, we took money back to where it was created from. It was started from a barter system. It was started from a place of love, that if you needed barley and I had an item that you needed, we can exchange from it. It started from a place of helping others. And that's what the pandemic did to universally. We all were sat down by the universe.
That's right.
It was a restart for us.
Well, we kind of needed a timeout. We kind of needed a timeout if you think about the way we've been behaving toward one another. Pretty unkind. Yeah. Pretty unkind.
So that's why crypto surged, and it's been explained all wrong. Crypto surged during the pandemic because we got a break from this matrix, this system, and we got to get back to doing what we love, and that happened to be art. Was the lead, the kicking in the door when it comes to NFTs, because people at that moment got a break and said, I'm not passionate about what I'm doing for a living. This is not making me happy. We all had to look within, and get back to what are we passionate about? What makes us happy? And the gift and the curse of everything is that we got to self-evaluate each other, from removing all these programs that we're kind of going through I would say, Groundhog's Day of, living a life where there's no break, there's no change, there's no change in path, so that change in path during the pandemic allowed a lot of people to pivot their career into something that they were more passionate about. You know what I mean? And
we did it. We repurposed our entire recruiting firm. We went from construction, so we're done with it. We hate it.
Yeah.
Right? To empowering people in blockchain. Mr. Terry, we could go on so far, and I'm going to bring you back. And this time you're going to bring with your wife. You're going to bring her on too, right?
Definitely.
But anyhow, I'm sorry. We're just coming to the part of the show where we got to sign off. So okay. I can't thank you enough for. But first off, let's tell the people how they can get a hold of you. You put up some social, Travis, for them, right? And talk about it, and how you can be supported. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem. LUV NFT is the e-commerce.
For those of you who are listening on Apple, Spotify, not watching, it's LUV. LUV, not LOVE. LUVNFT.com. Go on.
Yeah. And, our blockchain nonprofit is BLK LUV.org to learn more about our solution for humanity to move forward as one, powered by love. That's the only solution. And that's the light at the end of the tunnel from everything that's happening right now, is that we had to see darkness and see the game for really what it was, that there was no love in the game and it's all about profit. So, now we can move forward and step into the light and start operating from a place of love.
Yeah. Frederick Douglass said it. He said, if there is no struggle, there will be no progress. So,
yes.
So it's very paramount. We listen to that.
Hey, I'm gonna probably bring you and your wife back on December. I'm not asking. I'll come down to Cabo. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. First we'll play some golf, then you'll make you come. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Anyhow, so Hahz Terry, thank you so much. And to
thanks for having me, David.
Yeah, for our producer and our engineer Travis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Travis.
And of course,
pleasure.
My co-host, the robo-recruiter, Dave Hampton.
Eternally grateful.
And to everybody out there, if you want a job in crypto or blockchain, you come find me. But remember, most of all, get whispered.